What is a dedicated server? A dedicated server is an IT service made available to a single client by the host. It can be managed remotely via the internet or directly at the host using a KVM over IP. It is a machine equipped with all the resources, both hardware and software, essential for the proper functioning of a website. Several economic and technological phenomena combined at the same time strongly encourage companies to digitize their processes and deploy their application resources in clouds in order to gain flexibility, security, and collaborative work. Having a dedicated server is a digitization action since your server is located in a data center accessible from anywhere and anytime via a simple internet connection. The host has the server on its premises and you are the sole user of this server, unlike the shared server. What is a managed dedicated server? Having your own dedicated server exclusively for your website is the most recommended when problems begin to appear on your sites such as site crashes, or a heavy and low-performance website. It is at this moment that hiring the services of a dedicated makes total sense. If you analyze that your company grows more every day and with it the amount of data transactions, or you simply want to host your website on dedicated hosting, then you should consider buying a managed server. Hiring a server can be a risky decision for those who do not have much knowledge about this terminology and its functionality. It usually happens that we have a website that is more successful every day, it grows more and the number of users accessing the web is bigger and our web traffic skyrockets. That is where the time has come to change your hosting plan and jump to a much larger and more powerful one, a dedicated server. Dedicated and non-dedicated server, what are the differences? The dedicated server has much more storage and data processing resources. It provides total functionality to the user. In this way, it guarantees better performance for applications and websites, generating more stability, speed, security, among others. It is an excellent alternative for multi-access websites and resource-intensive applications. This is relevant since technological progress has caused increased competition and a higher level of demand from users. Obviously, having a high-quality server makes a difference in the user experience and in the performance of the site. Therefore, it is a very important investment for companies. The non-dedicated server provides a much lower performance if compared to that of a dedicated server. It is a dedicated server, but it shares its resources with various clients. On a non-dedicated server, in the case of hosting countless websites and applications that use the server resources constantly, all other applications and websites will suffer a performance drop. But why do we say in the case? Well, it is a fact that there are servers that are shared, which means that they divide the same resources with several users, but that guarantees a lot of quality. Characteristics of a dedicated server. A processor, also called a CPU, is the computer brain of the dedicated server. The more powerful the processor, the more capable the server will be of performing demanding tasks. This can decrease a website's load time significantly. From memory, also called RAM. This memory is required for the CPU can work properly. Again, the more memory there is, the faster your dedicated server is likely to be. A hard drive to store data, your files, databases, emails, etc. There are several types of hard drives. Larger capacity ones tend to be slower. For applications that need intensive access to data, such as databases, SSD technology which allows very fast writes and reads. A network card, this is the component that connects your web server to the internet. A network cable is connected to it, connecting the dedicated server to network equipment from your host. Possibly, a RAID card, in the event that the server has several hard disks, it is possible to configure them in redundancy, so that in the event of failure of one of the hard disks, this happens quite frequently, the data is duplicated to another hard drive, and therefore there is no data loss if this occurs. The RAID card is responsible for this data logistics. What are the advantages of the dedicated server? Power. Generally, a dedicated server is much more powerful than a shared server. More secure hosting. Unlike shared hosting, no one other than you will have access to your server. Therefore, if you have sensitive and confidential data, customer information for example, this type of hosting is definitely the one we recommend. In addition, depending on the package you choose, you can fully manage your server as an administrator. The possibility of using applications, the dedicated server is able to support the use of a massive database or heavy applications. It is a more attractive solution financially. Companies have very specific needs. Also, it is much more interesting to turn to a dedicated server, which can provide you with domain names, email accounts, FTP, and other services in a single subscription. The dedicated server, therefore, represents the preferred solution for professionals and companies. Reasons to choose a dedicated server. Simply put, you have exclusive access to a physical server. That server is only available to you and to your website, contrary to a shared server, where your site occupies the same server with several other users. When you use a dedicated server, you have at your disposal a server that is uniquely for you. This assures that only you will use the same resources or have access to your information. You will also have complete control over the server, so you can ensure that your site is more secure and works optimally. You can see it as the difference between renting an apartment and owning a home. With your own dedicated business server, you have more freedom to configure it however you want and you are not forced to share resources with other sites.